Certified Cybersecurity Operations Analyst, often shortened to CCOA, is an ISAC cybersecurity operations credential for people who want to show they can think through real security work, not just repeat basic definitions. In this episode, we are looking at the credential as part of the Monday Certified feature from Bare Metal Cyber Magazine. The focus is practical. What is the certification? Who is it really for? What does the exam test? And how does it fit into a larger path for someone trying to move into security operations, incident response support, vulnerability management, or threat monitoring?
If this certification is on your study list, a free and complete audio course is available in the Bare Metal Cyber Academy at baremetalcyber.com, complete with a study guide and a second ebook featuring 1,000 flashcard questions.
This certification matters because cybersecurity operations is where many early career security professionals first meet the real pace of the field. Alerts come in, logs need to be reviewed, vulnerabilities need to be understood and prioritized, incidents need to be escalated clearly. Business risk has to be considered, even when the technical details are moving quickly. The credential is designed for people who are ready to move beyond broad cybersecurity awareness and start thinking more like analysts who work inside active security environments.
The issuing organization is ISAC, a professional association with a long history in audit, governance, risk, security management, privacy, and digital trust. Many people know ISAC through credentials such as CISA, CSIM, CRISC, and CDPSE. Those certifications often appear in more mature professional settings, where security, control, assurance, and business risk meet. CCOA brings that broader credibility into a more operations-focused lane.
That matters because security operations is not only about tools. A SOC analyst may work with monitoring platforms, logs, alerts, tickets, vulnerability findings, threat intelligence, endpoint tools, cloud data, network traffic, and incident response processes. But the work also requires judgment. Analysts have to decide what matters, what needs escalation, what can wait, what evidence is useful, and how a technical event may affect the business. The exam reflects that blend of technical and business-aware thinking.
The credential is best viewed as early career to intermediate. It is not necessarily the first step for someone who has never studied technology or security before. A learner should already have some comfort with networks, endpoints, cloud basics, identity, operating systems, risk, and common cybersecurity terms. But it can be a strong fit for someone who has moved beyond the absolute beginning and wants a credential that points toward real operations work.
Good candidates may include junior cybersecurity analysts, help desk professionals moving toward security, systems administrators, network support staff, vulnerability management analysts, incident response support personnel, and early career professionals trying to enter a SOC environment. The common thread is not the job title. The common thread is readiness to understand how technology, threats, controls, risk, and response processes connect in daily security work.
The exam content is organized around several major areas. It covers technology essentials, cybersecurity principles and risk, adversarial tactics, incident detection and response, and securing assets. That mix is important because it tells you what the exam is really trying to measure. It is not only asking whether you know a definition, it is asking whether you understand the environment being defended, how attackers operate, how incidents are found and handled, and how assets are protected.
Technology essentials are the foundation. Analysts need to understand the systems they are defending. That can include endpoints, servers, applications, networks, cloud services, virtualization, containers, ports, protocols, command line basics, and monitoring data. You do not need to be a senior engineer in every area, but you do need enough technical literacy to make sense of alerts, logs, system behavior, and risk.
The risk and cybersecurity principles portion adds the business context. A security event is not just a technical curiosity. It may affect confidentiality, integrity, availability, legal obligations,
customer trust, operational continuity, or executive decision-making. A good analyst needs to understand why certain events are more serious than others, and why priorities change based on business impact.
The adversarial tactics portion asks you to think about attacker behavior. This includes common attack vectors, threat actors, cyber attack stages, exploitation techniques, and the ways attackers move through environments. The point is not to turn every candidate into an advanced threat hunter overnight. The point is to help analysts understand that alerts often make more sense when you can connect them to attacker goals and methods.
Incident detection and response sits at the center of the credential. This is where candidates should expect to think about monitoring, triage, indicators of compromise, indicators of attack, detection use cases, containment, escalation, forensic support, malware analysis concepts, packet analysis, network traffic analysis, and threat analysis. The exam rewards people who can reason through what an analyst should do next when evidence begins to appear.
The securing assets portion connects operations to protection. Analysts and security teams do not only react after something happens, they also help reduce exposure. That may involve vulnerability management, control validation, secure configuration, identity controls, monitoring coverage, remediation tracking, and communication with system owners. This part of the exam helps reinforce that operations is not just firefighting, it is also continuous improvement.
A common mistake is to treat this as a memorization exam. Memorization still matters. You need to know the language of security operations. You need to understand terms, processes, tools, and common attack patterns. But the more important skill is applied judgment. You should be able to explain why one response is better than another, why one alert deserves more attention, or why one vulnerability creates more risk in a specific environment.
Another misconception is that CCSOA is only a tools exam. It is broader than that. Tools support the work, but the exam is more interested in whether you understand what the tools are helping you see. A SIEM platform can collect and correlate data, but the analyst still needs to understand what the alert means. Endpoint detection tools can show suspicious activity, but the analyst still needs to decide what evidence matters. Vulnerability scanners can produce findings, but someone still has to prioritize them intelligently.
Preparation should begin with the official exam areas, not with random tool names. Build a domain-based study plan. Start with the technical foundation. Review networking, endpoints, operating systems, cloud basics, identity, applications, protocols, logs, alerts, and common security controls. Then move into operations topics such as monitoring, triage, escalation, containment, incident handling, detection logic, and response workflows.
After that, study attacker behavior. Learn how phishing, credential theft, exploitation, malware, lateral movement, command and control, and data theft may appear in an environment. Then, connect that attacker thinking back to detection and response. Ask yourself what evidence an analyst might see, where that evidence might come from, and what the next best action would be.
Hands-on practice is valuable, even if you cannot build a full enterprise lab. You can still review sample logs, explore basic command line tools, look at packet captures, practice reading vulnerability findings, and walk through incident response scenarios. The goal is not to master every commercial security platform. The goal is to become more comfortable with the kinds of evidence and decisions that show up in cyber operations.
Question practice also matters, especially because the exam can include both traditional multiple choice and performance-based elements. Use practice questions to test more than recall. When you miss a question, do not simply memorize the correct answer. Ask why that answer is correct. Ask why the other options are weaker. Ask what clue in the question should have guided your decision. That is how you build analyst judgment instead of shallow pattern matching.
The Bare Metal Cyber Academy resources can fit naturally into this study process. The free audio course can help you build familiarity during commutes, walks, workouts, or routine tasks. The study guide can anchor focused reading and domain-by-domain review. The flashcards ebook can support quick repetition, terminology review, and short study sessions when you only have a few minutes. Used together, those resources can help make exam prep more structured and realistic for busy professionals.
Time management is part of preparation as well. Do not save your weakest areas for the final week. If networking feels uncertain, address it early. If incident response vocabulary feels comfortable, but scenario questions feel difficult, spend more time explaining your reasoning out loud. If vulnerability management seems familiar, but prioritization feels confusing, practice connecting technical findings to business impact. Confidence comes from repeated exposure, not from one long cram session.
From a career perspective, CCOA can support several paths tied to cybersecurity operations. It can help someone show interest and preparation for SOC analyst roles, junior cyber analyst roles, incident response support, vulnerability management, threat monitoring, and operational security work. It will not replace experience, but it can give hiring managers a clearer signal that the candidate has studied the work of cyber operations in a structured way.
The credential may fit well after foundational study, such as Security Plus, Network Plus, Basic Cloud Learning, Help Desk experience, military technical experience, or junior IT operations work. Afterward, a learner might move towards more specialized analyst, incident response, cloud security, threat intelligence, or management-focused credentials. The best next step depends on the direction of the career path.
It is also worth being honest about fit. If your goal is audit, CISA may be a more direct option. If your goal is privacy, an IAPP credential or CDPSE may make more sense. If your goal is penetration testing, then Pen Test Plus, GIAC penetration testing options, or OSCP may be stronger choices. If you are still building basic technology literacy, you may want more foundation before attempting this exam. For the right learner, though, this credential can be a useful bridge. It connects technical fundamentals, threat awareness, response thinking, asset protection, and business risk. It helps early career professionals understand that security operations is not just about watching alerts. It is about interpreting evidence, making decisions, communicating clearly, and helping the organization reduce harm. CCOA makes the most sense for someone who already understands basic technology and now wants to move closer to practical cybersecurity operations. If you are trying to grow into analyst work, incident response support, vulnerability management, or threat monitoring, it is worth considering. The exam asks you to think like a developing security professional, and that is exactly why it can be valuable at this stage of a cyber career.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.